Yeah. Big man thing, don't it? Woo. Me G them say. Top dog not the place, Chop a city, cut the tail off the rat, cut the head off the snakes. Top dog not the place, Can't style the talks, better watch your mouth, cause we are run the road, east, west, north, south. Money flip, cash rule everything around me. The vision when me get a couple million on me bank account. Anything me can afford, me want every time me touch the road. Me got me pocket load, feeling like me floating on the highest cloud. With the chopper load, yeah you know the code. We be smoking loud.
Prime Minister, so he will answer that one.
Oi. So, seems as though we're good to go. All right, good evening, everybody. Good evening, one and all, and welcome to another Let's Get Real podcast. Can I say that? All right. So, for those of you who are just tuning in. Welcome in. Be sure to share the live. We want to get as much people in before we kick things off and begin our show for this evening. It's a beautiful Sunday night. And to those people who are not here in the Caribbean, I don't know why you choose to live where you live, but I live where you should be vacationing right now. So, as I said before, those of you who are just tuning in, be sure to share the live. Let everybody know that we are live now, up and running, set and ready to go for another edition of Let's Get Real. So this evening, we're going to be having conversations about two main topics that are on the minds of the people in St. Kitts and Nevis, around the region. And I don't think not so much the wider diaspora, because we're seeing in Miami, they're having a whale of a time up there, man. And it's lovely and it's sexy. And so, for those of us who are living in the region, we know that entertainment has taken a major backseat right now. So, tonight we're going to be talking about entertainment, the plans for entertainment, and coupled with that, we're going to be talking about mental health. Yeah. mental health is a topic that most are a little bit still uneasy about discussing. It's a little bit of a taboo topic here. And so we would want to delve a little deeper into that this evening. We have a very special guest that will be on with us. And we are going to try and scratch as much as we can on the surface to get this conversation going and see how best we could help our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis and, of course, in the wider diaspora. But for now, let me just tell you what's happening around St. Kitts and Nevis, just to touch briefly on what is happening. So, people, guess what's going on? This week, we had something very, 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 very interesting happening. And that's going to lead us into a segment this evening, a new segment that I just, came up with off the top of my head. You've probably heard this quote before. SKN, it's not a real place. When things happen, I don't know for a fact, but I just know that it's true. So later on in the show, we're going to have some fun with that. But yeah, this week we had some very interesting, as people would say, news where somebody was at the JNF hospital, and the news that we got was that they were bagged and tagged, tied, and heading to the morgue. And while on the way to the morgue, the individual got up and asked a very simple question. What make you got me tie up so? And after that what happened? Run. Da 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 da. All man start up and down the place. So we know if I saw ego who true, but we know for sure so think it's not a real place. So I don't mean to joke about these things, but when you hear these things happening, you just have to wow, how? I mean, our healthcare system has been getting some knocks of late, and because of this pandemic, it has exposed some inefficiencies in our services. And so we would want to, try and get it fixed as soon as possible. I mean, in the last press conference the Prime Minister had, he told us that he spent about, roughly $38 million in the healthcare system. But up to now, nobody can see where the $38 million gone. But my friend tell me, must leave she boss, so I'm going to leave him tonight. Just stick to the stories. What else is happening in St. Kitts and Nevis? Mr. Carlton Elroy Emmanuel Rastafari without locks DuPont is now at Freedom FM. He gave an explanation as to why he is at Freedom FM and not on Sugar City. And you would have heard that this week on Issues on Freedom FM, his explanation. But just to put it out there and to let people in the diaspora know that in St. Kitts and Nevis, when you speak, you have to be so careful what you say in this country, because freedom of speech is not so free when it comes to certain people and their politics. We have a culture where if you speak on certain things, you're ridiculed, you're vilified, you are basically cast aside. A campaign is launched against you to defame you, to shame you, to ridicule you, to ultimately kill you, stop you from making a financial gain, from supporting your family. That's just how the culture is here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so DuPont, who everybody knows is a man who speaks out against what's happening in the country. He spoke out against the farmer administration. He campaigned to get the farmer administration out of government. And this one, he claimed that he spent $100,000 of his own money campaigning to re-elect the unity government. And he has in no uncertain term expressed his support for them. And he is a guy, when he sees something that's going wrong, he says it. And there are lots of people out there who want to portray this guy as though he is mentally ill or going crazy, or people using him. But again, here in St. Kitts and Nevis, when you speak out against certain individuals, people don't take too kindly to you. You can speak on their behalf, but if you ultimately point out anything that they are doing wrong, anything that, is not so savory, then they turn against you. And they basically want to vilify you and crucify you. So that is what happening. That's what's happening now with Mr. Dupont. But of course, being a fellow Sandy Pointer myself, I wish him all the best, and I'm hoping that he can go from strength to strength and use wisdom and use Jah to guide his actions and guide his words, so that he can get by and by. All right. What else is happening in St. Kitts and Nevis? I think basically that's it. So we can move now into our next segment. As I told you before, we have a specially invited guest lineup for you this evening, Dr. Shavern Brown. She has a PhD in trauma. What's the word? I don't want to bite my tongue. Psychotherapy. And she's going to be here with us this evening. We're going to segue into our next session and bring up Dr. Brown to talk to us. Stay with us. We will be right back with Dr. Brown here on Let's Get Real. So let's go now to Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown, I hope that you are with us.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
And again, I just want to remind folks that you can support us here on Let's Get Real by sending donations to us, or if you want to become a sponsor and do it that way, you can also do it that way as well. And we will be most appreciative of your contributions to our show, and definitely help us to get the word out there as to what's happening in and around St. Kitts and Nevis, baby. So, without ado, we are going to say hi, hello, and welcome to Dr. Shavern. Oh, my boy. Dr. Brown, good
Blessing.
evening. How are
Blessing.
you? How are you?
Well, I'm living in one of the Americas, so I I am one of those people who is jealous of where you live and where people vacation. So
All right. Well, it's good to have you, Dr. Brown. I mean, it's been so long since we would have, talked to one another on any kind of levels and any kind of fronts in a professional way. So
sure.
it's good to have you here with us this evening. And we
Absolutely.
truly appreciate you here with us this evening.
Do you want
yes,
them to
Dr.
know that
Brown,
we are cousins? Do you want them to know that?
let them know, because sometimes I feel people think that I don't have anybody and I'm not affiliated with anybody. So yes, my good family. So yeah. Dr. Brown, we're here this evening to talk about mental health.
Yes.
And that's your field of expertise. And to get our conversation started, I would just like for you to tell us what is mental health and how important it is to us as human beings. Let's start there.
Okay, so I think the definition is in the words mental health. So the health of the mind, right? So the same way that you get up every day and you have breakfast, and then you go to work and you get hungry and you might have an apple, and then you have lunch, and then you have dinner. The same way that you take care and feed your body in a healthy way is the same way you have to take care of your mind. The way that it functions, the way that you think, the way that you express yourself, the way that emotions are displayed in your behaviors. And it's important to be mindful of your mental health, because Your mental health affects your physical health, and your physical health affects your mental health. So think about trying to make decisions, EK, when you're hungry, or
Mm-hmm.
you're sleepy, or tired, or in pain, right? Those are all physical things, things that happen in the body. And when you're making a decision when you're hungry or tired, an emotion shows up: anger, frustration, right? Sometimes even anxiety, sometimes even worry. So those things play on each other. Now try to make the same decision: full 8 hours of sleep, right? Good breakfast, good exercise. You're able to have a clarity of mind when you make these decisions. So the same way that we get up and we take care of our physical selves, we also need to take care of our mental selves. And that might include simple things. And one of the things you talked about, mental health being taboo. Mental health isn't just going to therapy. It's the things that you consume, the things that you watch, the things that you experience, the things and places that you expose yourself to. So I know I just gave a really long set of things, but mental health attention is important because it is just as vital as attending to your physical health.
All right. Okay. Well, Dr. Brown, my next question would have been, how do we get the exercise that we need to have good mental health? But you would have outlined a couple of those things, the things that we eat, the places that we surround ourselves in, the people who we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
So the stigma that I spoke about, I mean, growing up in Sandy Point, down in the gut, we would have heard anybody who had any mental health issues be described as being para. And I don't think that anybody else in the Caribbean use that terminology. But they were described as being para
Crazy.
and crazy, right? So, and we saw them walk the streets without any kind of assistance, any kind of services being rendered to them. So,
Right.
I I I would like to ask, like, how do we get from the point where we are right now? Because I know that there have been some significant strides here. The mental health centers, there have been a couple of physicians who are practicing here in St. Kitts and Nevis, but there's still the stigma attached to mental illness. So, from your experience, how do you think we could transition our community into accepting this as something that is just as talking about going to exercise or something of that nature, and not as taboo as we have it?
So you gave an extreme case of what mental health dysfunction might look like, which is the person that's walking around the street eating out of the garbage. Like that is probably some mania, probably some schizophrenia. Those are like the extreme ends of mental health pathology. But if we look at responses to COVID right now, right? So someone might not meet clinical criteria for, say, depression or anxiety. However, you might have symptoms that might border what depression might look like. So one of the first things that happens when a person starts to experience some kind of depression is you realize that your hygiene starts to go away, right? If you're a person that bathes twice a day and you realizing like you're just forgetting a shower and not brushing your teeth, or you have possibly hypersomnia or insomnia. Hypersomnia, you're sleeping too much, or insomnia, you're not sleeping at all, right? You might have weight gain when you're not trying to do it intentionally, or you might have weight loss when you're not exercising and doing it intentionally. You might have lost all interest in things that you used to enjoy. You feel sad all the time. You feel hopeless all the time. You feel helpless all the time, right? And now then you have like some upsurgence of anxiety, constant worry, hands shaking, heart palpitations. You got to go to the grocery store and you're like, the COVID's outside, it's going to get me, right? And you just have constant worry, constant washing. Now, those can be interpreted as mental health concerns. But some people are reluctant to admit that they have these concerns because the immediate comparison is to the person who's walking in the street eating out of the garbage. That is not the case. That is not the case. There's not a one size fits all for mental health conditions. That's why they have different names. They have different names for a reason. And they have different names because there's a specific subset of symptoms that need to come together in order for someone to be given that diagnosis. So the first thing is to understand that having a mental health diagnosis isn't only when you get to the stage where you're walking out on the street in tattered clothes, speaking and hearing and, feeling things that aren't there and eating out of the trash. It starts by acknowledging that you're not okay. It's okay to not be okay. And it also starts with a community that is not going to judge someone for not being okay. And to not come at them with, man, you're a big man. What you mean you feel sad? Men have feelings too. How you mean you can't do so? Things have changed. Things have definitely changed. And another thing to consider, a lot of research is showing that people that look like us, which is high melanation, also known as Black, right? We have a hesitation to admit that we are having these struggles because it is inherent in us to portray a stance of strength. When I first came to America, it was very important that I stood out. I needed to stand out because I'm not only up against African Americans, I'm up against white people. So when I walk into a space of people that are of less melanation than me, I am already cut off to the knees. So I cannot say that I'm in pain. I cannot say that I don't understand. I cannot say that I need help because that's the expectation of me as a Black person. You have it significantly better because the people that are around you look like you. You don't have that same difficulty as, say, me treating a Black person in America. But what we do have is that word of stigma, believing that because you say that you need help, there is something inherently wrong with you. No, you're being human. Asking for help is human. As human beings, we don't gravitate to pain. When you touch something that's hot, you pull your hand away. It burned. And you do something to relieve that pain. If you're in emotional pain, you can also do something to relieve that.
Interesting. So, Doc, you mentioned the corona being outside and the heightened anxiety. Studies would have shown that the anxiety level, the depression level of teenagers more so and children has hit an all-time high because of the protocols that are being put in place by the various governments around the world to fight against the COVID. And that is isolation from your friends, isolations from your life, parents being out of work and they also being frustrated. How are we gonna come back from this, in your opinion?
Okay, so I know you probably haven't flown for a while. You know, you know when you get on a plane, right? And they're giving you the instructions, for the mask that's about to fall down. They always say, put your mask on first before you help anybody else, right?
Right.
So that's similar to what has to happen within the home. So the parent first needs to practice things that are sufficient and taking care of themselves first. So that would include getting good sleep. Sleep hygiene includes going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time. I think I'm allowed to say this. So the bedroom is only for sleep and sex. So you're actually not supposed to do things like watch television in your room, or read in bed, or have your laptop in bed or your phone in bed, because the body keeps track of that. And when you go to bed, your body is confused about what the hell is supposed to happen in the bed. Am I supposed to be on my phone? Am I supposed to be watching TV? Am I supposed to be reading something? But if all you do is sleep, when you get in that bed, your body recognizes, aha, this is where sleep happens. And falling asleep tends to be easier. Okay. So as parents, you really got to take care of yourself. Watch what you consume. And consumption is not just eating. Watch the news sources. Sometimes you can step away from the news. You don't have to ingest everything. When you're inundated with too much stuff, that raises the anxiety level, right? Exercise. Again, exercise doesn't have to happen in the gym. It can just be you going for a walk, mile out, mile in. It also includes getting sunlight. One of the first things that it's important to do when you get up in the morning, open your curtains. Make sure you have clothes on, and then open your curtains, because you don't want to give the neighbors a show. Definitely don't want to. Okay? Because I've done it a couple times and I've forgotten that there are people out there. I just keep forgetting and open my sliding door, realizing that the backyard is everybody's backyard. Man, I'm like, all right, well, hi, neighbor. You have a good day, sir. So, yeah, a little comic relief, huh?
All right.
Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. So once you're able to nurture that good side of you, you're then able to impart that into your children, right? Find ways to keep them engaged. There's every platform now that has video. Of course, you're going to monitor it. That is one way to keep them connected to their friends, right? And of course, if there's safe ways of engagement that you want to be, say, if you have a family member who can bring one child and, they're safe and they're tested and you're okay with that, you can meet and you could play at a good social distance. But the key is to keep yourself well so that you can in turn keep your children well. I think about things like anxiety and fear. You ever see like 2-year-olds like climbing up on stuff with no fear of falling? They're just going
Absolutely.
at it. Right.
Right.
Because children at that age don't understand fear. But the minute you yell, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And the child jumps. That child now memorizes that reaction that they had with that behavior and your behavior. And they start to internalize and present fear in certain situations. A lot of these emotions are socially learned. A lot of these behaviors are socially learned. So if your children see you doing things to take care of yourself, they can also learn ways to take care of themselves.
All right. So then let's go to infrastructure, because these are things that we can practice home in our daily lives, right?
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
so let's say it's a case where you need that extra help. You need somebody who's trained in this field to go to. All right. Here in St. Kitts, and I'm probably gonna get some flogging for this, but I need to say it anyway. I got to a point in my life where I needed to seek professional help.
Good
Not
for
that
you.
I was not that I was crazy or anything, but I just needed to sort some things out. I needed to get an opinion that was not tainted by emotions or any of that sort. I just needed some clarity as to why I was feeling the way I was feeling, why I was making the decisions I was making, and to also deal with some traumas that I didn't deal with at the moment when I was supposed to deal with them. Like, for instance,
Mhm.
grieving. Our
Mhm.
grandmother was dear
Mhm.
to my heart. That was actually my best friend, and
Mhm.
I did not get a chance to grieve her properly,
Right.
and so
Right.
that formed an underlying trauma for me, and it
Yes.
manifested in ways that I had to take a step back and like, yo, this is not me. And
Yeah.
through my journey, I sought the assistance of my personal physician, because at the time I had absolutely no idea how to go about seeking assistance on that level. So I had to
Mhm.
talk to my doctor. My doctor said, okay, fine, I'll put you in touch with somebody. And one of my main concerns was confidentiality. And
Yes.
the process was such that it was truly confidential. And I got to speak to a physician, and she was quite helpful.
Mhm.
And so, for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis who may not have access to that, what would be your best advice to them as to how to go about coming to the realization that you actually need help and going out and seek it?
Well, I think that that is a personal choice. I don't think that there is really any magical sentence that I could say that would make someone get off their couch and go get help, right? You first have to acknowledge that you are willing to invest in the experience of therapy, because therapy is an experience, right? You don't just go and sit and talk and
Yeah.
then leave and do nothing and believe that your life is going to change. You can't do one thing different for 1 hour and go back to doing the same thing that you were doing for 167 hours. You're not going to
Mhm.
get better. You have to invest and trust and believe in the process. You have to trust and believe that your clinician is doing and acting in your best interest. And you mentioned something really important. Confidentiality is a real thing.
Right.
It is a crucial part of the therapeutic alliance. Crucial. I work in a place where I go down to Walmart and I see my patients and I pretend as though I don't even know them,
Right.
because I refuse to have them have to explain to their wife, how do they know this short Black woman? That is part of confidentiality. You have to believe that your clinician is not even going to talk about you in abstract terms so that people could guess who you are.
Right.
So there are some apps. There are some apps out there. One is calm.com, CALM.com, that offers, like soothing sounds or words of affirmation or little things that you could do. I think it's free for 7 days. It's something that you have to pay for, but it's always good just to look at it and just go through and see if you get any initial support and something that could encourage you to go and seek additional support. Then there is also one that's called Headspace, headspace.com. That also offers like a preview, and that is free as well, maybe for 7 to 14 days. And these are all based on either the cognitive behavioral model of treatment or emotion focused or person centered treatment. What they believe is that people have the ability to self actualize. You have the answer. But in order to get to that answer, you need to free associate. You need to dump all the trauma stuff that you've been holding in your body out. I teach people that the body keeps a score. That's why it's trauma focused. When trauma happens, it gets absorbed into your body. Your body
Hmm.
holds it for a while. And unless you're able to freely and willingly essentially vomit the trauma, you're going to do things like make reckless decisions. You're going to spend money ridiculously, potentially. You're going to have difficulty sleeping. Your emotions are probably going to be all over the place. And you're sitting there, I don't know, nothing's really changed, but a lot has changed. A lot has changed internally. So if there are resources on the island that are offering counseling, mental health support, check them out. Even for one session, even if you decide after one session you're not going to go back, just go and take a taste, and then you can decide it's not for you. How do you know that you like chocolate ice cream? Well, you had to eat it first to decide that you liked it, right?
Indeed.
So
Indeed.
give it a go.
All right. Well, Dr. Brown, we're pressing for time, so I think we can wrap up our little conversation just for the time being, but we have to have a round two to delve a little bit more, a little deeper into mental health. But because of time constraints, I think this is some good tidbits of information that our people could use to get to that place where they can, manage the anxiety and the depression that comes with this whole pandemic, and try to get to a place of wellness. So thank you so much, cuz.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Maurice.
Thank you so much. And look out for round two. I'll definitely be calling on you more often than not to assist us here on Let's Get Real. So thank you so much, and have yourself a great evening, cuz.
You do the same, love. Good night.
All right. So, folks, that was my cousin, Dr. Shavern Brown. And as always, it's good to seek out the people who can assist you in your endeavors. And so I tapped into my cousin, who is a trauma psychotherapist. So on your screen right now, you're going to see a poster for a place where you can go and seek the help that you may need to deal with whatever that you might be going through. As we said before, you are not crazy, but your mental health and your mental wellness is indeed important. So I'm not even sure if Miss James know that I'm doing this, but I'm giving her a shout out here on Let's Get Real. It's 3C's counseling, mental health support for persons in quarantine or isolation due to COVID-19. Speak with one of our certified confidential caring therapists, and numbers are there for you to contact. It's 660. I just want to make sure I got it correct. 668-0101. And if you're on Facebook, it's 3C's Counseling for Change. You can look them up and you can see how best they can assist you to getting where you need to get to on a mental health level. Folks, going to be moving right along, and our next conversation point coming up would be entertainment. As you know, entertainment and tourism are two of the major industries that were hit the hardest by this COVID-19 pandemic. And we are yet to find out our faith moving forward here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And we're hoping that we can have a little conversation with one of our prominent promoters here this evening to talk a little bit about the entertainment industry and delve a little deeper into it, because when this whole thing hit and started, some folks would have had some comments to make about what entertainment really is, how much lives it affects, how important it is as an industry to our economy and to so many people who dabble in it. And we basically had to go on a major education run to teach people, to tell people how impactful entertainment is. And entertainment doesn't have to be termed as just a walk-up session or a band session. That's just a part of entertainment. Entertainment consists of going to the movies, watching a movie, sitting at home in your house, having a glass of wine and listening to jazz music. Somebody had to create that. The producers has to record it. The magicians had to play it. Somebody had to do all of that in order for you to enjoy it as a person. It could be just right. So, folks, as I said before, we are in a situation where we have to understand what is happening here. And so people must begin to understand that our industry is one where it really and truly affects many, 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 many lives. And we can only get that way by education. You talking to me, I talking to you, and we both get a true understanding and a clear picture of where we are and what we are doing as a people. For instance, I'm not a healthcare professional, but if I read enough and I try to understand and listen enough to what people are going through in that profession, what it entails, I could better understand, but they will have to talk to me. We'll have to have a conversation. Likewise with security forces, understand where they're coming from, understand where we're coming from. And we try to find that balance. We try to find that common ground, that middle ground where we both can coexist. And so we would want to get to that point, because of late we have seen where lots of entertainers are suffering. Lots of people in the tourism industry is suffering financially. And the stark reality is that our bills keep coming, and they're not going to keep coming. They're not going to stop coming, sorry. And the only way that we know how to support ourselves and support our families is through entertainment. And so when we can't do that, the people who depend on us, the people who surrounds us, the people who we help on a daily basis, they suffer as well. So we just want to have that balance between what is going on the healthcare front and what is going on with our lives. We are fed up of feeling like second-class citizens, like we don't matter. You understand? And sometimes when you listen to the powers that be, when you listen to the security forces, they're just one track. They're just, we're going to follow the law. This is what the law says, and that's it. But that law affects somebody's livelihood. That law affects somebody's life, other people's lives. If I can't play music, how am I going to pay my bills? I'll probably get evicted. I'll probably have debt up to my eyeballs. I can't pay the major companies. So if you stop me from making money, you're ultimately killing me. And we are at that breaking point mentally that we're like, hey, what the hell? Can we get just a little bit of cooperation? Conversations have been had. Conversations upon conversations. We heard recently from the Minister of Entertainment that some 2 months ago there was a conversation between entertainers and entrepreneurs about the way forward. That was 2 months ago. And a document is being prepared, and it's waiting for a conversation between the security forces and the task force. So these are the people who are determining our destiny, our lives. And I'm hearing from the entertainers on the ground that this is just a little bit frustrating. It's overbearing. And so, when will this conversation be had? You want to tell me that these people are so busy that a conversation about an entire industry doesn't have the importance and the priority of the authorities? Let's take a look at what happened during CPL. It was a major event. It went on for about 2 weeks. There was music. There was dancing. There was commerce going on. Bars were making money. People got hired, security forces, bus drivers, hoteliers. And when the question was asked of the authorities, well, did we have any cases of COVID-19 coming out of CPL? The answer was an emphatic no. We didn't have any incidents. Can it be attributed to the fact that it was a vaccinated-only event? But the science tells us that whether or not you're vaccinated, you can contract and you can transmit the virus. And we know that not everybody who was in the park was vaccinated. We also know for a fact that there has been a backlog in terms of testing and results. So it begs the question, how does the officials know that there were no incidents of corona coming out of CPL? That's just a question. The chief medical officer who answered the question also went on to say that this is testament to the fact that we can have major events. CPL has been done for about 3 weeks now. And in that space, we have not heard what will be the way forward for entertainers and entertainment. Recently, we saw where the group of people who are in the Ministry of Entertainment would have gone over to Queen City, Nevis, to have talks with people who are in the entertainment industry and entrepreneurs. And on your screen, you can see the team, the minister, Akila Nisbet Byron, Honorable Akila Nisbet Byron, my apologies, well-known gentleman, Mr. Damian Weeks, and some other young people who are there. Can't really see because their masks are on. But they journeyed over to Nevis to have talks with the entrepreneurs on Nevis and the entertainers over there. And I'm guessing that out of that meeting, we will see some movements in the industry. The minister would have posted on her Facebook page some of the team members from the Ministry of Entrepreneurship, Entertainment, and Talent Development. We are off to Nevis to meet with persons from the creative entertainment sector this morning to introduce the ministry and to tell them of the plans and programs that we wish to implement. We will also be hearing from them and getting their feedback as to the best way forward. St. Kitts, stay tuned. In the coming weeks, you will be notified of the same event that will be hosting on the St. Kitts end. There are some exciting things happening in the ministry. Stay tuned. So exciting things happening in the ministry of entrepreneur, talent development, and entertainment. Now, while that is welcome news and great news, how is it helping our people, though? In the coming weeks, every single day, every single weekend that passes, people are going deeper and deeper into bankruptcy and deeper into depression, anxiety, frustration. And so, if CPL could be had safely, and if you look at what's happening in Miami and you hear the reports. And I have looked at the videos in Miami with people jamming without mask. And these are the very same people, Kititians and Divisions, who are on Facebook, social media, defending what is happening to entertainment down here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And they're up there in Miami having a whale of a time amongst people who they may not know their vaccination status. I'm hearing that they would have had PCR tests because it was a controlled event where you had to get a PCR test to be administered and you get a ban or whatever. And some people are saying that was implemented, but it was not followed through all the way. And so, again, if those people up there having the time of their lives without mask, even though they're fully vaccinated, knowing fully well that they could contract and transmit the disease, but yet still, they're in full support of the knockboat that we're getting down here in St. Kitts and Nevis. How hypocritical. And this is why you see I don't engage some of them on social media. It happened in Orlando. It happened in New York for Labor Day. And it happened in Miami, right in front of our faces. And yet these people are on social media in full support of what we're getting down here. Now, we don't wish to be combative. We don't wish to be disrespectful to anybody. All we're asking for, folks in the entertainment industry, is for to be taken seriously. I mean, when you're going to go out there every single weekend looking for bars to close down, when you fully well know that the dashboard that comes out every single night or every single other day or every 2 days, the dashboard that comes out is filled with information, backlog information. Because we're hearing from everybody every single day. Oh, they ain't gonna come test me yet. I'm still waiting on my results. We have to test you again because the results were botched or they were lost, and so we don't have them. So where are these numbers coming from? And when you ask, well, what the hell is going on? 40 cases per day. And you hear responses like, oh, it's people's behavior. I mean, you are literally saying to me, you're trying to convince me that somebody in their right mind is actively going out there trying to get COVID? Really? You mean to tell me that your politics means so much to you that you could sit there with a straight face and type that behind a computer or a phone, that somebody is actively going out there trying to get COVID? Makes no sense. Something is amiss. And when you point these things out, you are vilified. You're being seen as a troublemaker, an upstart. And I am at a loss, really and truly, as to how this thing could really and truly be happening here in this federation that is filled with so many people who are quote unquote qualified and experienced and experts. There should be a balance. Strike a balance. I saw one comment saying that don't look at Miami because Miami has a better healthcare system than ours. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. So you're trying to tell me that we don't have the resources here to make sure that our healthcare system is able to deal with what's happening? We knew from the get-go that this thing was going to get bad. It was being said to us all along. People don't go out there actively trying to get a flu every single year after Carnival. No, people go out there to enjoy themselves. So why are you vilifying people and making it seem as though somebody is out there trying to get sick or trying to make somebody sick? I spoke to a lady and she has been in quarantine for nearly a month now. The phone calls are not coming. The updates and information is not coming. And because of the stigma that was put out there about COVID-19, people don't want to interact with people who have that. And so you're left to your own devices. And she got fed up of sitting down and waiting for somebody to come and assist her. And if you put people in that kind of position where you put their backs against the wall, what you think is going to happen? You are going to create an even worse situation that you're trying to prevent. Let's suppose you have 20 people. You take them and you put them into quarantine, home quarantine or isolation or whatever it is, without any support, without any free-flowing information and updates, because you don't have the capacity to operate efficiently dealing with that many people. What you think is going to happen? These people are going to get frustrated, and if nobody's looking for them, your natural human instinct is for you to go out and look for yourself. That's the natural instinct, to go out and look for yourself. And then when these things happen, oh, you want to blame people. Oh, they know they're supposed to be in quarantine and they're up and down, doing this and doing that. But if you don't provide the support structure for these people to remain in quarantine, what you think gonna happen, my lad? They're gonna botch. And then you're gonna end up in a worse situation. So I'm saying to the authorities, for God's sake, try and do things a little differently to get a different result. That's all we're saying. Do things a little differently so we can get a different result. Folks, we're trying to get our final guests on the telephone. So I think we should be having them up in about a few seconds so we can have that conversation about the way forward. In the meantime, don't forget, stay hydrated and be sure to drop us a little donation on PayPal at Real Right EK. On Cash App, it's Real Right EK again. You can look us up. And if you want to become a sponsor to have your ads being aired here or in any social media event that we do, you can drop us an email at letsgetrealnow21@gmail.com and we can do some business. Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown just sent me a WhatsApp. No, Dr. Brown, I'm going to behave myself tonight. I want to keep it. Yeah. I got a little scolding from the last show that I did. So I'm just trying to keep it. Yeah. I'm trying to keep my emotions in check and, keep it on an up and up on a level. So, I don't know. And this is something that I've been talking about for quite a long time, about how we conduct ourselves here in the islands. And I've been looking at social media and see that there are other, what they're calling us now, influencers. I don't know from whence this term come, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm neither here or there in terms of influence. I mean, but that's a different topic. But they're calling us influencers now. And influencers in Antigua, influencers in the VI, influencers in Trinidad, influencers in Barbados. If you look at their social media, they're basically saying the exact same identical things that I've been saying. And the government is behaving the exact same way that I've been saying they're behaving. The authorities all across the Caribbean. And you would think that we who have been at the receiving end of so much oppression would have a better empathy about us towards our fellow nationals. You listen how Gaston Bona go on over in Antigua. It's like the only reasonable and empathetic leader that we have in the Caribbean region right now is Mia Motley in Barbados. Listen to the words that the Prime Minister is using in Barbados. Listen to her tone. And then you listen to the tone of these men. Rowley, Harris, Gaston, the one in St. Vincent to get your head boss. Just listen to their tone. You don't have to hold a gun to somebody here to tell them to take something that is good for them. When you get a headache, somebody got to hold a gun to you and tell you to take aspirin? No. And sometimes some people get some flu and they walk out and I go to hospital and they're cool. So why is it? No. All right. So I'm just getting word that our guest should be up and running in about 5 minutes. I'm guessing that he's running late. I was hoping that this wouldn't happen, but nevertheless, and once we get this guest on, we're going to be talking for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to wrap it up for this evening and keep it moving. But yeah, you don't have to force people to take something that's good for them. And so if people have a little reservation about this, the attacks and the way that people are going about it, I just find is all wrong. You ask us to follow the science, and that is what some people are doing. We're following the science. You catch COVID, you have a 99% rate of recovery, unless you have underlying issues like asthma or whatever other complications that you could possibly have. And so what is happening around the world is nothing short of tyranny. And when people say, that there is something that is just not right about this whole thing, man, I get what book conspiracy theories. Man, I get what book you anti-vax and you are anti-vax. What? All my kids are vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. I got vaccinated when I was in primary school from all kind of things. I don't mind going to the hospital and getting an injection, me no in it. And you know, once you go to JNF, no matter what wrong with you, you get in a bag of chips, as we say, saline solution. Whatever is wrong with you, when a man try a bag of chips for you, that's the go-to. And they give you to paracetamol. So, men understand why is it we are being treated this way. There must be something else. And it's only a matter of time. I don't mean to sound like them crazy conspiracy people, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me the way that we do it. I think we got our guest online right now. My Lord, you with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. So we're gonna go
Nice and
straight.
clear.
Yeah, man, nice and low.
I like a little background over there.
So we are gonna go live right now with our next guest, Mr. Raphael Rodney. Those of you who know him, let me let him tell you about himself. Mr. Rodney, welcome to Let's Get Real. How are you doing, man? Hello?
Yeah, could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just had a error pop up on the screen saying connection issues, so I just wanted to make sure. And then
Yeah,
your
man, you're
voice
live. Just go right ahead.
Okay. What did you say last? Because I didn't hear. It cracked up.
So yeah, I was trying to tell them about you, but I think you would do that better than me. Entrepreneur, manager, give us the whole rundown so people could know exactly who you are and what you're into.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Raphael Rodney. I am the owner and founder of K and Juice Events, as well as the owner of Impel Marketing Management and Sales. We basically deal with event management, a bit of marketing, and logistics and equipment rentals.
All right. Well, fans, again, welcome to Let's Get Real, and I hope that our internet is going to hold up long enough for us to have this conversation. But the what I wanted to speak to you tonight about is the entertainment industry and how we're being treated and how we're being viewed. And I'm quite frankly peeved about it. And I'm hoping that there are others who are peeved about it and willing to let their voices be heard. So, from your standpoint, from your own observation, are you pleased with the way entertainment is being dealt with currently?
I think that question is, answered without me even having to say it. I am full time in entertainment. I am full time in the sector as not just an event host, but also, as I've explained earlier, in terms of the business that I am into. We deal with a lot of event management, a lot of logistics, equipment rentals, etc. So anything event related, because it's not just a party when it comes to events. You have sporting events, you have all these other type of events. So with the whole social sector more or less on pause, yeah, it's turmoil right now. And the reality is, if I were to answer the question in short, I would say no. I'm definitely not pleased. I've expressed this a few times. I've expressed it on social media. I've made numerous calls. I won't say that I have not been engaged, but I guess in terms of the timing and the considerations, it's definitely not what I would consider to be of any priority. So it's a rough situation, but I do believe that I am now at a point where I rather be silent. Maybe this is not something you want to hear, but after you have said enough, you just sit back and you wait and you see and you observe, and then you reformulate a different plan and see how that would be accepted.
Mm. So then, I think we can take the conversation to a different direction in terms of explaining to people what is actually entered and what it entails to put on an event, a mega event, so to speak, or even just a little dance, we would say, if you could just walk us through what it took to put on an event like, let's say, Tropics or Guest List,
Yeah.
or even a larger scale Cooler Fed.
Well, the reality is, I'm in a position where we more or less get the ball rolling. That is with investment. We start the process with investment because from the onset, you have to start spending money on the graphic designer, right? You have to start securing your deposit. So when I call EK booking, then there's a deposit process involved. Depending on the entertainer, if it's overseas, definitely you need to secure them contractually in order for you to guarantee that they're going to be coming. A level of integrity has to be built. That involves spending money again. You have to consult with service providers, stage owners, sound men, you name it. So that's the first step involved. It's a lot of work. Sometimes it's often underestimated, and people have no idea what the costs associated are. I think that is one of the reasons why the sector may have been, for lack of a better word, mistreated, because some people often just see this as people in a party, drinking, having fun. They don't see it as actual jobs behind the scenes. But if you were to see the moving parts, last year when we were planning for Cooler Fete, we did something called I think it was before the fete or behind the scenes, something. But what we did more or less is show people what takes place behind the scene, all the organization, the spending, the meetings, all of these things. So it's a huge investment. At the same time, the business itself is a very lucrative one, not just for those involved, but also the wider economy, because you have everybody from major scale hotels down to the barbers, down to the car rental people, down to the hairdressers, being impacted. So at the end of the day, to me, if any consideration was actually being taken for the sector, um, we should have been seeing at this point in time a bit more headway. I can say that, and I'll go on a tangent a bit, but I wanted to say this. I can say that there has been this connotation attributed to entertainment right now where even people who go out feel guilty for wanting to go out, right? That is how it has become, a state of disdain in a sense, as it relates to entertainment in St. Kitts. And yet here we are, restricted, and there's a carnival taking place in Miami, right? Carnival taking place in a spot where our borders are completely open to. Now, if we
Hello?
our borders at the national level, you can hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I was saying if we could mitigate and control the risk at that level, and we were told that regardless of what we do, the virus.
Hello? I think we lost fast there. Um, Not sure if it's internet problems. I think it is. But we lost him. We do apologize for that.
Yeah.
You,
He can be anyway for you to just rather than us rely on data and internet. Is there any way for you to call me directly?
internet is your internet is horrible. I'm gonna try to call you directly, my lord. All right, so
Yeah, you might have to sponsor me a better one. See your lips moving, man. You ain't nothing.
the corona is not the one that is shutting down these industries. The governments are. And it is the responsibility of the government to make sure that things are put in place, infrastructures are put in place to deal with these sort of things.
Hello?
That is the government's responsibility, to make sure that we have proper health care, proper infrastructure, proper education, proper security, so that the people can have a very fruitful and productive life. That is your job. And if you fail to do that, don't put that on us. If you cannot do the job for whatever reason, then move aside and let somebody else come in and do it. But folks, again, thanks so much for joining us. We are out of time. We were only supposed to be here for an hour, and we want to keep to that time constraint. So again, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening until we come your way again. We're going to be having some spot presentations during the week, I can promise you, because we have to finish this conversation with Mr. Raphael Rodney on the entertainment sector. So, folks, again, have yourself a great evening, and goodbye to one and all.